Hey, it's Don, the Auction Professor here. Today I'm going to give you another BOLO. It's something I remember as a kid. It's Rama figures and molded items here. Rama is something that's been around since probably, say, the 40s or so, maybe even before that. There's some really high dollar ones, some that go for almost $1,000, believe it or not. You probably don't know what it is, but you've probably seen them. So hang on, and we're going to go over to the screen, and I'm going to show you what they are. Okay, so Rama. What is Rama? Rama was a machine you'd put a quarter in. In fact, let's go and talk about what Rama is first. It's a big machine here that you could put a quarter in or 50 cents in or whatever they cost at the time. I think they're a couple dollars now, if not more. And it would actually cast a figure right in front of you. It would actually fill the mold right there and pump in the material. They came in multiple different colors, and it was literally, as I said, cast on the spot and cooled. So when it popped out of the machine and you opened the little flap at the bottom, it was still warm for the most part. And I had them for all kinds of things. Most of the big amusement parks up here had them. Most fairs, festivals had them. Museums have them, and zoos had them. World's Fair was a big one for the 1964 World's Fair. There was a whole set of the Sinclair dinosaurs, which you'll see here. Sinclair has been around for a long time. Dinosaurs have been associated with them since the 20s and 30s. Even Disney has an association with them, with dinosaur Gerties and the Gertie from the cartoon and the dinosaurs that were in, some of the advertising for Sinclair. So anyway, this is one of the machines here. This is actually from Mental Floss. My wife subscribes to it, so we knew about Mental Floss's article on this. I've read this one before. There's even a video. There's some examples of it on here. So Mental Floss Mold-O-Rama will get you to where you want to go if you would like to read up on it. No, there's Alien series. I think H.H. Miller is the name of who did these. Miller was the design for sure, but here's some more examples. It would press the pieces together right in front of you. It's an injection mold, basically. Moldville.com. It's new companies actually took this over and do these nowadays still. I've seen one not too long ago at a place we went. There's a ton of Disney ones. Every Disney park had them. I remember them as a kid from the 70s and 80s. Even in the 90s and 2000 era, there were machines there. I couldn't tell you now. I haven't been to Disney in probably a decade now at this point. There's famous people. They're all over the place, honestly. There's just a ton of these around. Again, they were even outside, believe it or not. Now, it's a high-temperature wax of some sort that these are made out of, so they wouldn't just melt sitting there. Now, if you had them in the sun in a hot car, they would deform readily, because I had some of mine deform when I was a child. So, anyway, again, that's Mental Floss. I'm going to show you some that's sold in a minute here, but I'm going to show you one more because these don't show up on eBay. These are H.H. Miller versions of the Mold-O-Rama, and they're mostly aliens and strange creatures. I know these when I see them in a second. Some of them are painted, so they're multiple color. These are the only versions, other than some of the nativity ones that I've seen, that are painted. And some of the nativity ones may be H.H. Miller, just not marked as such. So, with nativity set, just like the Christmas nativity, baby Jesus, the whole works, just FYI. But you can see Mercury, Venus, they had names like planetary names for most of these. 50s and 60s these were done. I've had about half of them in my lifetime. A couple of them I've only had one ever, never even seen another one. Even broken ones. I've had 3 or 4 of these. This is one of the more common ones. This says it's a recast here, the first one, and then there's the original and then a recast. I've had an original and I've had several recasts. So that's the most common one that I know that's recast. This is the second most common one. Basically, somebody made a mold of this and just made a new version of it. So, or they bought the old molds, the mold plates. They're metal, just like you'd make a metal form for anything these days. This one was pretty cool. Uranus. They're all just cool topics. All planetary, as I said. Really neat. Some people don't know what these are. They think they're toys or something. Without the Mold-O-Rama in the title, you're going to blow it. I can tell you right now. No one's going to know what to look for. Your title's not going to match anything someone's going to be thinking about. Once you know them, though, and once you've seen a couple of them, you'll know exactly what they are and what to look for. They do show up in toys sometimes. I find them in military collections, Marx collections. Some people write them down as Auburn toys. Auburn is a rubber toy company. They made farming equipment for the little models and things like that, and cows and chickens and things. It's kind of along the same lines as Marx did. They have similar circular markings on some of theirs. Pluto is pretty neat. Two-eyed man, moon. They're all really neat. They sold at like gas stations sometimes, parks. Sometimes they were actually just sold in a package already preformed like these, so you'd literally buy them as a character, you know, on a little rack card or mounted on a cardboard card of some sort, or a rack bag even. So they're pretty sturdy. They will show up still bouncing around in toys without damage to them, believe it or not. The far out they are, the better. The bottom's going to have a hole usually, or a mark that looks like it was melted. That's the key on here. And maybe I'll be able to show you some in a few moments here. Just the wide variety. These are the ones you want to look for, but none of these will be on eBay. There's some unknown versions. Here's a perfect example, polyethylene plastic. It says, I don't know if that's the technical term. It's like some sort of wax in my book. Here is a nativity figure. Now, some of them are and aren't marked, so... And they also made military ones, as you see here. And then there's another one of the machines that actually made them. Most people would remember these from a child. There's sites on them. I think you can still actually buy the machinery and do your own nowadays. I'm almost sure they have them here at the main zoo, where you can put it in and get an alligator and things like that. I remember them in Gatorland Park in Florida. St. Augustine had them, and pretty much any tourist location had these things. So anyway, let's actually look at a few here. Let's pop over here and start at the beginning here. Everybody knows this one here. American Dad even had a big thing on the Oscar Mayer Wiener, if I'm not mistaken. Henry Ford Museum. I've seen this as a child, this same exact one. My family took me there. I take the family there. We were there just the end of last year. It's an awesome museum. They have the JFK car and Reagan's car and a lot of different things there. It's really an amazing museum, honestly. Well worth the money. They've got buildings that they actually brought in. One of the Edison labs is there. So anyway, enough about that. Let's show you the bottom on one of these too. You can see the hole there, the opening, and that's where it's actually poured in. It's a hollow cast piece. I guess it's just injected around the edges. The metal cools real quick, so it cools this down, and then the rest just drains through that hole there. As a person who casts plastic pieces and stuff, I understand the technology. It would be basically called a slush mold if I was doing it here at the house. That's how I would have to recreate this, and it's something that somebody could recreate at their own at their house. So this one only went for $20, but they still made this one, if I'm not mistaken, even up until recently. They all look the same, so a mold number or date may not mean it was made in 52, so just keep that in mind. Here's a Buddha, let's see, Orange Buddha Hotel. Again, anybody could have made these for any numerous things. You could get a custom one made for your location. You'd make a profit on it because people would put more than it actually cost to produce the items, and it was like a gumball machine kind of profit. You'd put $1.50, whatever it took at the time. I'm almost sure it's like $3, $4, $5 nowadays. Another one from Miami Zoo, 3 sold. They actually have none left, so they have $60 for these. I'll buy them in quantity any day of the week. If I could find 1,000 of these, I would buy them and sell a couple at a time. I'd put them on 5 or 6 different sites and just let them run from there. You know, list them when they get low and keep adding them on. I'd throw them up on Amazon if I could too. We are ungated for stuff like this, so I can sell vintage toys and collectibles in the collectible section on Amazon. Under toys, historical items, all kinds of stuff we have. Movie items I can sell, vintage vinyl records, and things along that line. Another Mold-A-Rama. Any of the Universal Studios, just like the models, sell for a ton of money. Perfect example, $380 on this one. Now here is the Sinclair World's Fair set from 1964. I think there's 8 total. There's 2 different set versions of this, I was told, or I've seen. I don't know how true that is. I have not seen the official price guide or looked into it very carefully because I just sell them. I don't really care, you know, what set they go to. They sell no matter what, so it doesn't really matter what set. As long as it's a Mold-A-Rama and you put that in the title, it's going to sell. If you list Mold-A-Rama dinosaur, it's going out the door, 20, 30, 40 bucks, depending on the version, the color, when it was produced. And whoever's collecting these knows very well every single version of these that there are out there. Color-wise, that indicates somewhat on when they were made. This one says it's not the World's Fair. So I said there are other versions. They made some for gas stations as well, too. Now, the World's Fair one, if I'm not mistaken, I'll say World's Fair on them. The gas station one versions don't say that. It might just say the name, if I'm not mistaken, on them. So $80 for this set here. Now, Probably not going to run into a ton of these, but if you don't know what to look for, you're not going to find them. You might think it's just junk, it's some cheapo wax thing. That's what I usually hear. Usually I get these for, say, a quarter, 50 cents, maybe $1 at the most. Even the rare, spacey ones, the H.H. Miller versions of them. I've been selling these type of things before I sold clothing, and that's going back 6+ years. I've known about these since I was a child. I had a bunch of them. I ended up selling them when I first started on eBay, and we made a lot of money. They used to go for 2 or 3 times what they're going for now. Anyway, George Washington's bust, $62. I'll just flip through some more here, just to give you an idea. 64 World's Fair. It's the main centerpiece that was at the entrance with the fountain. $51. Here is Brookfield Zoo, Chicago. It's pink. The pink anything seems to go better on these type of things. This one went for $42. These are legit prices, too, not some scary prices. This one here I would have split up probably. A lot of 11 Turnpike. Now, Turnpikes had them at the concession and the, I guess they would be like rest stop areas that had the gas stations and all in the middle of long Turnpike stretches. And some of them still have these today. Now, on some of these, too, you can see a broken one. They're semi-wax, so they can be repaired if you're careful and know what you're doing. I've seen repair jobs on these. Most of these are fairly common. You get like $8 a piece for any one of these. Now, I wouldn't have sold them together at this. I would have probably been able to double that, listing them separately, and I would have probably been able to sell a couple to the same person as well, too. The green giraffe is fairly rare. I haven't run into that one but once or twice, so... Anyway, here's another one here. It's another building one. So, you know, they come in all different shapes and sizes. Some of them, the metallic ones, this is almost a metallic colorish gray. Those seem to do better. The marbleized versions of them are usually better ones. Here's a Disney one. Disney made them for every character out there. Donald Duck I had as a child, Mickey Mouse, Pluto, you name it, they made them. And again, different colors. This one's an earlier one just by the color. This is probably from Disneyland itself. It looks like one of the original ones from what I can remember, color-wise especially. The more dull colors were from an earlier time frame. So some of the 50s ones you can usually tell right off the bat. So anyway, I'm just going to show you one more. That's $35. And here's the Sinclair one. Dino Land, that would have been at the World's Fair. And again, there's other places these dinosaurs sold at. There was a Prehistoric Gardens here in either Ohio or Michigan, and they sold these there too. You can get dinosaurs there, literally, and they looked identical as far as my memory serves me. At one time, I had like a dozen of those things. I wished I had them all, you know, when I was older. But, and then there was another place called Storybook Garden, which made them here. The Toledo Zoo made them here. The museum made them here. And there were some other play zones, fun zones that made them as well, too. The zoo had several of the machines, if I remember right. But that's just a touch on this. They all sell, every one of them. Don't be deterred if they don't sell in the first month or something. Some of the ones that are very common will take a month or two to sell, but they're going to sell for at least $8 on these. I know that may not sound like a lot. Like if you get the H.H. Miller ones, you find one little assortment of those and you've got hundreds of dollars. The last one I sold on eBay, I received like $135 out of the H.H. Miller Aliens. And again, they do show up. Even the reproduction ones, even the known recastings will sell because they're that rare. And you'll get $60 for a recast versus the 110, 120 versus the real one. That's why I'm showing you the H.H. Miller site, because you're not going to see those on eBay. They're just that rare. And that's why most people don't find them or don't think that's what they are. They don't know what to put on them. Sometimes they don't say H.H. Miller either, so just keep that in mind. So that's about it. Well, there you go. That's what I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified when I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.